Greetings and welcome to Star Trek Discovery Pod, a sometimes funny, trying to be smart podcast covering all things new and classic Trek. Absence of the heart can be quite fatal. I am your captain, Myrriah Gossett. With me on the view screen, we have
Clyde Haynes. Hey, just as a reminder, don't take drinks from strange people. It's not going to work out well for you.
But do take drinks from people with 3 or 4 arms, apparently.
Yes.
Hey, it's Mike Moody-Garcia. We're super happy to be back with you guys.
Yay. Welcome back, Mike. We're excited to have you for this season as we cover Strange New World Season 3. And Paul will be joining us for our continued coverage of this season. He did just get stuck in traffic in Long Beach. But we will have some hot freak videos to share. So don't you worry. Paul will still be included in our premiere double feature chit chat here. Speaking of which, we are talking about 2 episodes tonight.
I just want to make clear, we did not recast Paul with me.
No, we've added cast members for the season, and Paul will be back. Yes, and tonight we are talking about the double feature premiere of Star Trek Strange New World, starting with Hegemony Part 2, which is directed by Chris Fisher, teleplay by my man David Perez. I love David Perez episodes. Story by Henry Alonso Myers and David Perez. And then we'll be getting into Wedding Bell Blues, directed by Jordan Canning, which is written by Kristen Bayer and David Reed. Before we dive into all of that and more, Clyde, can you remind listeners where they can find us normally?
You can just type, I'm not going to do it, just kidding. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcast. If that's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever. All of our links are at StarTrekPod.co. And for just $2 you can head over to the Patreon and access all of our community Slacks. Just join us. It'll be a fun time. The group was watching the season 2 finale on Wednesday, and then they're watching the doubleheader before this pod. So come hang out with us on Patreon. It's a good time.
Yes. And as a note, we are pre-taping tonight because unfortunately I have an event tomorrow. So we are so sad to not be able to interact with you in our live chat this evening. But normally we are live on YouTube. So please come check us out. You can hang out with us. It's Star Trek Pod, Star Trek Discovery Pod over on YouTube. So if you want to hang with us live, it's Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific. So hopefully we can hang out with y'all as we discuss episode 3 next week. Okay. Before we fully dive in, it has been 2 years since we saw the finale of season 2, which is bananas.
Has it really been 24 months or more?
I believe the last article I read said it's been almost 2 years.
Wow.
It felt like super disjointed. Like
it was. Yeah, I definitely had to sit with a recap of the last season to be like, okay, where did we leave off? I have a vague memory of all of the major plot points, but I was like, because it's a part 2 of a pretty action-packed finale, I was like, wow, it's I would recommend it's definitely best to, I think, view if you watch the finale of season 2 and then go right into this doubleheader if you want. Because there's a lot of action.
That's what I did. Last week I watched the last 3 of season 2. And really all you need to do is watch the finale to jump right into this premiere. But yeah, there was a lot that happened, and it really reoriented me with the Gorn and with how the show is portraying the Gorn, so I could go into this with the right mindset of exactly where we are and what the stakes are. And watching those episodes from season 2 last week got me really hyped for season 3. And then I've kind of been consuming all the media and watching the trailers and listening to other podcasts that are getting excited about it. So I was like, I want to talk about this show. How do I do that? Oh wait, I can get on the pod. I can come back on the pod because now I have time. So yay.
Always welcome on the pod.
And I imagine we're going to get there. But I think the thing that was pretty interesting to me is that they put out these 2 episodes together because
They're
it
totally different.
I thought it was going to be like a 3-parter from last
Mm.
season. I thought this would be a connected episode, but the 2 episodes were so disconnected. But I mean, it was fine. It was just not what I expected. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest and just say it. It felt like the cliffhanger should have been the season finale to 2, and then the second episode should have been the premiere, because it felt like there was just a huge break, and they even did like
It's a 3 months later, essentially.
3 months later, they introduced new cast members, like they're recruiting. And I was just like, what happened here? Like it truly felt like if they had done a long Hegemony 1 and 2 to end season 2, that break would have made way more sense. And the 2-year break, and then we come back in and it's like 3 months later, it wouldn't have skipped a beat. So that was interesting to me. It makes me wonder, like, did they not think they were going to be gone that long, or what happened? But that, I almost had to reorient myself after watching the first episode and almost take a break to watch the second, because I just wanted to roll right into it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Myrriah, question for you. I know you're up on all the production stuff usually. Did they film or write at least this premiere last like 2 years ago?
That's a great. I would assume, because it's it says story by Davy Perez, who also wrote Hegemony Part 1. So I would assume that the story was probably written, maybe not a full script by the end of that season, and they didn't have enough script order to pay to write that additional one. Or maybe I have a theory they might have run out of budget to do what they wanted to do, and so they said, let's push this to the next season. Because you usually get a budget increase per season. Because
that money was on screen this episode. I mean, we saw screeners, so maybe not everything is like the effects
fully
aren't
rendered,
final,
but
God, it looked great. This was
great.
I mean, not that this show ever disappoints on that front, but this was feature film worthy. Visual effects and cinematography. It looked awesome from beginning to end. Even the second episode had a lot of really great, colorful, whimsical stuff happening visually. And that's just a great thing about this show. It just pops, visually.
100%. For those who might need a little refresher before we jump into Hegemony Part 2, we last left the independent colony Parnassus Beta, which had been invaded by the Gorn. A ship had gone down. Our crew went to go try to rescue everyone. That didn't work out. Gorn attack happens. Lon, Sam, Ortegas, and Dr. Mbenga end up getting captured by the Gorn. Marie Battelle is infected with Gorn eggs. And oh, by the way, Chapel is going to leave for a fellowship and it breaks up with Spock. So a lot happened in that last episode. So I do think it's time we'll dive in and let's talk about Hegemony Part 2. But you know what time it is. We have to start with some
Fast Freak.
I played the wrong one, but that's okay. It's supposed to be a hot freak.
Play the hot freak.
We'll play the hot freak. Here we go.
Hot freaks.
Still love the DV. Love the DV.
The DV.
Grant lives on.
Oh yeah. It's like I'm with him every week. It's a little touch part.
Yes.
Little
Okay. Let's see if I can play this video from Paul. Share a video file. Let's see here. That's the correct one.
Just press play, Myrriah. My God.
It's so
Hey everyone. Hot Freak on Hegemony, the first episode. I think that it was a very expensive, pretty episode. Oh my God. So many pew pews, so many flares, so many camera movement. It was crazy. I thought the story was fine, although, it stretches a little bit. Like, for example, hey, here's this captain with, like a lizard egg in her. Let's just continue to take her on to, to the front line rather than just leave him with the admiral. I don't know. Like the sick bay looked pretty busted up to me. So what do I know? But like, it all kind of didn't matter. It was all just so fast paced and so pew pew that like you just forgot about like, oh, let's just pretend to be a star or stuff like that. It was a fun ride. That's Hegemony.
Great.
Fair.
Thank you, Paul.
I had a similar, like, I would say an adjacent comment to Paul and thinking about Captain Batali in the sick bay. Like, you quarantine a sick bay in the middle of a battle.
But they have the extra sick bay.
Yeah, but you got your main sick bay. Like, that was the one part where I was like, really? Like, you're definitely, like, if you're in a battle in the middle of a war with the Gorn, you're gonna need your main sick bay. Like, that's not the time to be like, oh yeah, no, the thing that we need is in that other one that we can't get into for fear that Gorn eggs might hatch at any minute and run amok. That was where I was like, could we be doing this in a cargo bay or something? Like, that might be a better place to do this. You can just open it up and, I mean, I like her, but jettison her out into space if it goes sideways. I don't know.
Rough way to go.
I know. I'm harsh. I know. But that's where my head was at, because I was like, to the point, I was all the way in on this episode. Like, I felt like I was there. And it was great pew pews, and you had some ships flying around. So I was like, I felt like I was fully invested. So I was questioning, like, what can we do? I was using like terms like we. So I really did enjoy kind of the pacing of this episode.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the pacing was great. I actually I think I needed the stuff in the sick bay pacing wise for me to give us that like little bit of a break, but the tension is still there. Also, it was such a beautiful homage to Alien that I was like, I kind of don't care. I was like, I'm here for all this body horror goopy. I wanted more zoom in. I wanted bubbling skin, but I know they weren't going to give me all of that on Star Trek. But no, I thought it was great. I thought Anson Mount really I found him so believable, and it was a very emotionally heavy episode for our captain, and like for Pike to have like the inner battle of what's going on with his significant other, having to take care of the crew, trying to get his crew back. I thought it was really great. I also had like a pretty emotional moment when I realized it was just like Pike and then all women and like queer folks on the bridge were in charge of like this pretty significant battle and like problem solving, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, overall, Hegemony Part 2 I think was I was so impressed with the alien ship design. Yeah, I was just impressed all the way around. It was expensive. It was fun. It was like what you want in a premiere episode.
Yeah, big time. I have to agree with everybody. This was a really strong return for the series. I mean, after 2 years, they had to come out swinging, right? And they with a bang, and they really did. Like, not just action wise. Well, let's talk about the action. Like, the action was amazing, just like I said earlier. And this was like a really good third act of a big budget Hollywood action movie, right?
100%.
It was just on par with, like a Fast and Furious or whatever. It was just so good. The visuals were exciting, but I love that you mentioned the emotional anchoring here with Pike, because, and I'm really glad they didn't like fully fridge Captain Batel, yeah, because nobody wants that. But to put her life in danger in that way, it really worked. Investing Pike emotionally in what was going on, and also pulling him in two directions, trying to save the crew, save the ship, and also worrying about her, but also trying to make sure the Gorn don't fucking go and fuck everybody
destroy Federation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. And I love the way, the cliffhanger last season I think the final lines were, "What do we do, Captain? What are the orders?"
Mm-hmm.
And I love that his orders here, his response to that was to delegate.
Yeah. Give me ideas.
Give me ideas, because that was just classic Trek. It's like, let's sort this out.
Mm-hmm.
let's walk through this. What are our chances here, and what do we have to do? And that really gave the whole bridge crew a chance to shine. So that was a really great beginning to the moment, to the episode. And yeah, all the goopy, gory stuff was really, really great. It was very alien. I love that, the Gorn giant intestine system that they were in was just like shitting out the weapons. I thought that was funny. I was really on board with this. I was hooked emotionally and visually, and I was just like, I know they can't keep up this type of like fast paced, high stakes momentum to the whole series, but it was a great start.
Yeah, you said a word there that I really liked, and that was classic Trek. And that's what this was to me, in the form of, you've got a little bit of everything in this episode, but I did like not only the emotional tension, right? The sense of, we're seeing who Pike is. Pike doesn't always have the perfect answer, but in true Trek form, we see it's this discussion, right? It reminded me of Picard in this ready room, where he's like, all right, what are our options, right? Not just like, I always know what it is, but you're relying on this really talented crew. But I also thought about, like, you've got this battle, and if this were a Alien or a Fast and Furious, like, it always feels like you've got this battle, and at the end of the battle there are no consequences. But in Trek, we know that when you are injured in battle, there are psychological ramifications that will persist on, right? And so when I was looking at these people, when you're thinking about La'an in the middle of this Gorn ship, you're like, it's not going to be like, oh, she was in the middle of the Gorn ship, she was attacked, they were coming at her, and it'll be okay. Like, that's not what's going to happen, right? And so it's this build up that it got me more excited about what was coming, because I knew what they were building in this episode. And I was like, yeah, this is Trek I've been missing. This is great Trek. They kicked it off. I mean, they kicked the door down and said, we're back. And I was like, I was here for it. All of it.
That's a great point, because a lot of the criticism I see from certain people about this show is that, oh, we know what's going to happen, this is a prequel, everybody's fine, right? But that's not really true. This show still can deliver emotional stakes that really keep you on edge, right?
And we really only know the fate of our core, like, characters of of Uhura, of Spock, and like of Pike, of Kirk. Like, these are the folks we know, but I think they were smart to bring in characters like Ortegas. Like, I for a minute was like, if y'all are killing Ortegas off in the premiere of this season, I will murder you. Like,
and they didn't have to dangle that she might die, but they did, and I didn't mind it because it really kept me on edge. But the fact that what you're saying, Clyde, that if somebody is hurt psychologically or physically in battle, that it's going to inform their storyline going forward, that also creates a tension in episodes like this. Even if this character is definitely going to survive, there's still tension, because how is this awful traumatic event of fighting this giant space lizard gonna fuck with them going down the line? Because the show is going to explore that. So you have that tension, you have that character building. There's still stakes to the show, even though it's a prequel.
100%. And I wanted to dive in talking about the design of the Gorn, like, ships and the Gorn atmospheres, because I thought it was like very, like, almost the more organic version of like a Borg ship. Do you know what I mean? Like, instead of everything being crisp and like metallic, it's like everything is gooey and organic material. And I was like, oh, this is so interesting. And I also think it's a fun trope that, like, almost all of the baddie aliens always have one big ship that all the little ships fly into and out of. Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, that's such an interesting thing. That's kind of a canon thing they like to play with. But the set design for the Gorn digestive tract area, to your point earlier, Mike, was so cool. And like that's a lot of slime in that budget.
Yeah, seeing our crew like root around in there and try to escape, and cutting people out of those sacks and stuff, like, that was cool. And it looked great. Clyde, did you get Wraith Hive ship vibes for that whole scene?
Yes, I got Wraith Hive ship vibes.
From
I got
Stargate Atlantis.
for Stargate Atlantis. I also was
Yeah.
thinking it felt a little Matrixy,
Mhm.
right? With kind of using
Mhm.
humans as like
Pods,
fuel
yeah.
and battery and stuff like that. So it was like, this is an interesting. And I think what I really liked was it made me stop for a second and go, great job. Like when you guys were architecting this way back when and you chose to use the Gorn, stroke of genius, because we know so little about them that you've
Mhm.
got all of this room to play with. So there was no canon about what was inside their ship. It was like the whole idea that they were basically going to eat these humans and the way it was and to fuel the ship. It works. Like you chose a villain that you actually could do a lot with, and that there was, kind of sort of terrifying, right?
Mhm.
So I was just like, man, this was really well done. And I'm thinking back of how they created, when they started creating the story, like just phenomenal job from this team.
So are we all on board with the Gorn being like a major villain on this show? I know
Well,
some people are
what's
like, oh, that kind of violates canon, or can't they just come up with a new villain? I don't know. I like him.
I like them. I think it's a fun like retcon. I think it's it'll be interesting as like they continue to explore how to have a relationship with the Gorn like eventually. And I think they've done a good job of like adding emotional beats whenever they do like take one out. Like in the Hegemony Part 1, there is a moment when like Chapel and it's not Lon who kills the Batel. They take one out and they kind of have like they watch it die, and I think they have like a bit of a moment of sadness because they took like a life of another like sentient being. And what's interesting though is they've sort of written the Gorn out with this whole like we've put them into a hibernation status. So I don't know how long that's going to take them out from that, or if it's just a way for them to press pause so they can explore other things this season. Because we do know, so this show will end with unfortunately a truncated episode order for season 5. So we'll get a full season, obviously season 3 now, a full season 4, and then we're only going to get I don't know if they've announced how many episodes, but I do know it's a short order for the last season, which is a bummer.
Maybe there's time to change their mind if we're lucky.
Or they'll announce another show. Who knows?
Yeah, we already have one coming up, right? The Paul Giamatti one.
Yeah, Academy. Yeah. Which includes a bunch of our disco pals in it, which I'm really excited about. Jumping to kind of some relationships on the ship, I'm really enjoying Pelia and Scotty. I think they're a really fun duo, and their relationship in this episode I thought was like I like young Scotty. He's like a fun little character. I'm excited about having more of him this season.
I love the idea of seeing the development of young Scotty, right? Because when you think about it, Scotty becomes the overarching archetype for engineers on every Star Trek vessel, pretty much. It is I don't want to say it's the fly by the seat of your pants. I can make anything work, right? The more pressure, the more I'm going to deliver. Like if you're whether you're talking about Geordi or B'Elanna or whoever, like even in Prodigy, right? When you think about Rock, and
Zero?
see now, not Zero. Hit it with the hammer.
Janeway.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is that, the point is
those are people who are on that show. I don't know.
Yeah. The point is what we're seeing is the foundational archetype of an engineer. And what they gave us, Jankum Pog, there you go. But what we're seeing is that he didn't start out that way. So Pelia becomes the mentor of this type of engineer. So when I saw that and she's encouraging him and she's doing these things, I was just like, this is, again, I'm in education. So I'm going to be drawn to like that. That was just, I loved every moment of that. And I was just kept thinking, give me more. I can't wait to see this relationship, like how he becomes the Montgomery Scott that we all know and love.
it's makes sense, and it's super cool that like an acerbic weirdo who knows how to bullshit and game the system and like bullshit captains and stuff would be a mentor for Scotty, right? Because Scotty's always the guy who's like, "Oh, Captain, it's gonna take me 3 hours," and he always like underestimates how long it's gonna take or overestimates, right, to make himself look like the hero. And I can see that idea coming from somebody like Pelia, and
Yeah.
just those two like working like there's both actors are so charismatic, and they just kind of pop on the screen, and see them together, that dynamic that they have is just super fun all the time.
Yeah, I loved when she ran in. She's like, the order here, we have to, because she's like, oh, he will get this done if he's in a panic because he has to stop overthinking. Like she can see
Yeah.
that so clearly from her many hundreds of years of life as an entity.
Yeah, it's like you're already brilliant. Just do the thing. Don't overthink
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
100%. I don't know if y'all noticed, but when Spock and Chapel towards the end of the episode were having their little like goodbye, there was like some of the disco theme music playing underneath.
Didn't notice that.
I
Why?
thought
I missed that.
I don't know. I was like, it's because they like, I don't really know like if it was what they're trying to nod there.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, I know Spock was on disco, but
Yeah.
Chapel wasn't. I don't know. How do you guys feel about well, there's more of it. I guess we can talk about it when we talk about the next episode.
Yeah.
About Spock and Chapel. I like them together. I like their scenes together, even if they're not together.
Yeah.
I think they have a lot of chemistry on screen. I
Totally.
mean, Jess Bush, who plays Chapel, is just one of the most charismatic actors on the show, and it seems like they're giving her a lot more in these two episodes than they have before, which play to your strengths. Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also hoping, I think between this episode and the next one too, I'm hoping we get a little bit more Ortega's backstory, because that's something I've been craving. I was a little like, okay, I fly the ship. Like there has to be like, I need more to this character. You know what I mean? Like then I'm just a really good pilot. And so the episode 2 gave us a little bit more there. And I think with the repercussions of her injury, from this episode are going to continue to play a big part, I think, in her story moving forward.
I'll say I love the fact that she flies the ship, and like to me, I don't have to have anything more than she's just a badass pilot. Like that works for me, but I do want to learn more about her backstory. And as we get into the next episode, I was like, she's got a brother.
Yeah, definitely big sister energy. So I get that as like a character trait for sure.
Myrriah, earlier you mentioned how we got rid of the Gorn in this episode, in this premiere. We just essentially put them to sleep. I think they've done the same thing to the Borg in TNG. I think Best of Both Worlds Part 2. They put like, sirens in the background.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
It's the Gorn coming for you.
I'll let it pass. I don't know. How did you feel about that? I was, on one hand, I was a little disappointed. Like, okay, we just put them to sleep and then they're gone and they're not a threat anymore. They just kicked they kicked the threat down the line. But also, I was like, I'm kind of glad we're over the Gorn arc, so now we can really focus on some more interpersonal stories going forward. So.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an interesting way, I think, to also do a bit of a commentary. I thought about how folks don't there's often a lot of global problems where band-aids are put on and not actual solutions are created.
Sure.
So to me, like if I'm putting my like Trek as doing commentary on our modern society, to me it's that like the idea of like, recycling isn't going to fix global warming, right? Like it has to be like a bigger action. And so I thought Pike, as he's walking out, being like, oh, we didn't solve it, but we've kicked it down the line, and he was having some complex feelings about that. And so I thought that was like an interesting perspective for them to take. And I'm assuming it's going to come back around in some way where they're like, we have to stop the problem before it's a problem, hopefully, if they're going to like, I think, fulfill the promise of the premise I think they've set up in this episode.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I didn't necessarily have a problem with it, mainly because what I wasn't ready for was a Dominion-esque war arc that went throughout the season. Like, I think
Because we've
as
done the
we start
Klingon
talking,
War in New Trek already,
we have, and I was thinking, like, when I think about as we start to talk about the next episode, that was what I was looking for, right? Like, the thing about Strange New Worlds that I like is it's closer in tone to the original series and Next Generation, where it's like, hey, it's going to be lightly colored and we're going to handle stuff, and largely those things will be wrapped up by the end of the episode, and we're going to have a new exploration and a new journey next week. I was looking forward to that. And so the idea of this Gorn kind of construct that was just going to go on for episode after episode. And again, I love Discovery. I just wasn't ready for it.
Well, it's also
You guys
interesting.
mentioned you mentioned the
Yeah.
Klingon War, Myrriah.
Mhm.
I thought this episode gave us something that Klingon War arc in Discovery never gave us. It gave us just a really great big threat that we felt throughout an entire episode. All the characters felt emotionally, and the stakes were so high, and then the crew had to come together to really brainstorm numerous solutions to the problem, and it was like really extremely tense, and it felt like a war episode. And we one of the criticisms of Discovery has been, okay, it took place kind of during the Klingon War, at least part of the first season, but it didn't really feel like a action war show very much. But this episode, I think, felt that way. It felt like this is kind of what a really good episode of a Klingon war show would be. You know, we have this villain who is just extremely hard to fight, and we don't know much about, and it is a huge threat. And yeah, like Paul said, it had all the pew pews.
100%. Yeah, I think with the what I was going to say earlier was at the very top of the episode, it says, and now for the conclusion, so they're like, oh, this is not, we're not going to give you like a part 3 of this same thing. Like, this particular story ends here. So they set the expectation rate.
That's such a 80s 90s TV thing too.
Very next gen.
And next gen. Yeah. And now the conclusion. I felt like I was watching MacGyver, and I was like, well, next gen did this too. And so did DS9 and probably Voyager,
Yeah.
They would come back for the new season. Here's the conclusion.
I mean, all the 90s treks, would leave on a big cliffhanger, and then part 2 is the premiere. So they're really just following the blueprint here.
Hey, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
What do y'all think about Pike and Batel?
I really like Batel. I like the actor. I think we need to see more of Pike and Batel together. I think we maybe need to see more of who Batel really is away from Pike. We haven't seen that very much. I'm not sure what type of real estate they would dedicate to the story to that. They probably won't dedicate much to it. I think she's a really solid character and comes across as a really solid leader and someone who has a lot of like strength and empathy. And again, the performance is very good. I think a lot of the charm of the character comes off because of the performance, because the actor is so good, and her and Pike, I think, have good chemistry. In terms of where the character can go, especially in a relationship with Pike, especially that we know what happens to Pike, I don't think there is a lot of fruitful ground there. So I don't know. I like her. I just don't know what the show can do with her that excites me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go in a different direction, slightly, and that is, you say, what do I think of her? I don't. And I'm not trying to be harsh, but I think part of it is I kind of know at some point she's not going to make it to the end, right? Whatever that looks like, this is a journey.
She got the Gorn eggs in her, brother.
Well, it's not even that.
Nothing's going to happen.
So that's somewhat fascinating. Like, oh, does that come back around? So I'm kind of interested in that from an arc standpoint. But in terms of her and Pike, I'm like, part of me says it's interesting that we see this captain with this actual relationship, which I feel like we don't often see, right?
Yeah.
But the other part of me is like, she hasn't done anything to stand up on her own, right? Like, this would feel different if we were introduced to her as a character and she was just a badass. And then their relationship started to evolve, and you're like, oh yeah, I'd kind of like to see them together. Like, that's not what's happening. So to me, sometimes I'm like, is she a distraction? Is she pulling away from the core crew that I actually care about, right? This feels like if this is going to be a dated reference that most of our listeners might not get, but if this is the A team and this is somebody who is drawing Hannibal attention, like, I'm not interested in that. I want to see the A team. So I look at this and go, give me more of the bridge crew. I want, like we talked about Ortega's backstory. Like, I want to know what happens with Chapel and Spa. Like, we're gonna talk about how much I want to know more about La'an later. We're gonna get to that. But like, I want to know that. And you've got Battelle in here. I'm like, yeah, okay. But is she pulling focus? So again, great character. Love the fact that she's a captain. She seems strong. I was kind of interested in the whole like dynamic of, you don't really like the kind of Una and what she stands for, but that blood's gonna save your life. Like, that was kind of fascinating. Yeah. But as far as their relationship go, I'm like, don't get too distracted, buddy, because you're the lead dog here.
I appreciate the show's attempt to give us like a low drama, mature, middle-aged relationship. You don't see that a lot in shows like this. You know, I think that's cool. But does that work for a dramatic series in this form long term? Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Based on episode 2, I don't know how much longer we're going to have her. More, she's obviously going to continue to just be a guest star. But I do think it's been interesting to see how she's affected Pike's character, and so, you know, not to make it that a woman is what sparks the growth of a male character, but I think they've done just enough to give her a well-rounded story arc that it isn't just about her relationship with Pike. And I hope that, you know, it continues down that pathway in whatever form it takes. But I thought it was interesting that Pike at the end, when he goes to see her, has a like, okay, Dad, I'll pray. And we kind of get this interesting like religious background to Pike, with him being like, oh, I was an altar boy. And like, that might be in episode 2, but you know, he gets down and starts saying the Lord's Prayer, and then she wakes up, which I thought was interesting because we don't often get
that was,
you know, faith in Trek.
That was a big moment for him to actually lean on some sort of faith like that, and also it obviously came from his dad, who I think last season he talked about how he has no real relationship with his dad. Am I right? Like, they don't have a good relationship. So yeah,
or didn't.
That was a big deal for him.
I think he's passed. Anyway, I could be getting my timelines wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he outlived his dad. Is what it was, right? Yeah. I don't know. Whenever you're a middle-aged guy and you mention your dad, it's a big deal.
True.
Big feels.
It's a big deal.
Yeah. Why? Never mind. Not gonna go there.
Yeah, but as we've said, I think it's a knockout like series premiere, and I'm kind of glad we got these 2 episodes back to back. So, is there anything else y'all wanted to mention before we move on to our second episode?
I thought La'an kicked ass in this episode.
Oh yeah, 100%.
From fucking beginning to end. I like kind of rooting the Gorn threat in her trauma, because she was one of the first people to experience them as a child and to be hunted by them. I thought that still pays off. Yeah, I just wanted to mention La'an. I think La'an is kind of, from these 2 episodes, is kind of a stealth MVP. She's doing really well.
Yes,
the actor and the character. Yeah.
Yes, she is. She absolutely is. But we'll get into that later. I will say this: the biggest damage that the break did for me was my attachment to Samuel Kirk. Like it took me a while to remind
Stash?
myself. Yes,
Mhm.
I had to remind myself, why do I care about him? like he's a part of the crew, but I'm attached to everybody. Like I'm deeply attached to everybody else. So the idea, like even the notion that Ortegas might die, like even just like the internal dialogue in me that's like, no, they can't, they better not, like they just can't, but they might, because like that was interesting. With Samuel Kirk, he's also this character that I'm like, because we don't know and we don't hear that much about him, I'm just not sure what's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen. And so I was like, because I remember that we had whole episodes with quasi romance and tongue-in-cheek lines, and because it's been 2 years, I forgot about most of them. So that was one thing that I kind of noticed. So, and I almost had to reintroduce myself to him as a character.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
I mean,
I think he's really fun.
yeah, I think he gives good one-liners, and I think he's a fun foil whenever Kirk's on the ship too. So it's a good time.
That's fun. Yes.
Okay.
Oh man, speaking of Kirk, I'm really excited to see him this season because I recently got into Vampire Diaries. And I'm like, I
now
want to see
obsessed.
Paul Wesley. Yeah,
Paul Wesley in the house.
yeah.
Okay, let's dive into our second episode, Wedding Bell Blues, and we will start, of course, with some
Hot freaks! Hot freaks!
some hot breaks. Shall we go to Paul?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me share another video file. Boop, 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 boop.
Just hit play, dude.
Hey, it's me again. Second hot take, Wedding Bell Blues. I'm not. No, this is no. I'm not pranking. I think this is probably one of the top 3 episodes of all Strange New Worlds. I absolutely loved it from beginning to end. It was mwah, no notes, no. Well, maybe some notes, but like, it was really, really fun to watch. Like super like fun Star Trek to watch that didn't require a lot of like ships or aliens, just character work, and it was so good and so goofy and funny and still Star Trek. I loved it. I thought it was a great job. I think the only thing that I might have like not loved is the end where our illustrious pilot has PTSD, like that other show that we watch, Discovery, where our pilot has PTSD for a bit. So I don't know what they're going to do with that storyline. It seems like a bit of a retread, but all the Spock stuff, the wedding vow part, I thought was just so perfect. Like, it goes to like, it's just so perfect. Anyway, so really liked it. That's my hot freak. And you can take that to the bank.
Bye, Paul. Thank you.
Yay, Paul. Can I offer a contradictory hot freak?
Ooh.
This episode was very well done, very, very good. It looked good. Everyone was good in it. It was way too much empty calories for me. It was just like there's not a lot here. There's some meat here, and I do like exploring the Spock Chapel relationship, but it just felt like so much cotton candy, like too much. Like my teeth were falling out because I was devouring so much saccharine sweetness. It was just so goofy and so much. It was just wasn't for me tonight, if that makes sense. Especially following the seriousness and the action and the stakes of the premiere. I understand this is more of a cool down, and it's great that this show can have different tones. I admire all that. And again, the quality of what they put together here was very good. But it just wasn't for me. It just felt so too light for me. I think after the Gorn arc, I still wanted some heavy meat to chew on from this show, and they gave me cotton candy, which, I mean, that's fine, it happens. But yeah, I wasn't really vibing with this episode.
I think I could see that, but I think I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I really enjoyed this episode, and I thought it was a good come down because for me, this was an emotional catharsis. It felt like the epilogue of our last episode with like a fun campy twist. And we all know how I feel about Campy Trek. I'm gonna love a Campy Trek episode. Also, we have Reese fucking Darby as our guest actor. Like this,
Well, I typically love, but I don't know,
so
it didn't work for me.
I do love him.
Oh, I thought he was great. There's some really, I mean, yeah, and then a John Delancey cameo at the end, like, mwah. So I don't know.
That's
I
gonna
had a
upset
great
so
time.
many people. I can't. It's gonna upset all the right people.
Yeah.
The fact that John Delancey was there, and this is probably a cue. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, because there's a lot
the
of
canon police, you know.
Yeah, well, it's like he's either a Trelane, however you say that, or he's a baby Q. But like with the
Right.
snapping, that was the thing that threw me through most of the
Yeah.
episode. But I was like, oh, you're snapping. You're a Q. You're not a
Oh, I didn't
Trelane.
pick up on that at
Dressed
all.
like a Trelane. Anyway,
Yeah, I didn't pick up on it all. But I will say, I'm probably in between Myrriah and Paul on the spectrum, in that I thought it was fun. It was a rom-com. I had to take a break between the first episode and the second episode. I needed like a palate cleanser. And then so when I came into this, if like to me, this felt like, all right, now I'm watching the premiere of season 3. That's the way I look. And so I enjoyed it. And I'm gonna be honest, I forgot that I was starting to develop a simple crush on Christina Chang. And
how can you forget you're crushing on
it's
one
been
of the hottest people on this show?
and then
a
she
show
comes
full
out
of hot
salsa
people.
dancing.
I mean,
Ugh.
so again,
My eyes
they
fell out of
served
my head.
us thirst traps the first 5 minutes, y'all. It is
They
shirtless
absolutely did.
Spock. It is
Yes.
salsa dancing with Lon. They said we got something for everybody tonight.
I
Not
was
to mention-
here for
and-
all
and
that. Trust me.
Celia
Oh my God.
Gooding was,
Oh
I was
my
like,
God.
oh, hello.
Her outfits this
Like-
episode, like shouts to Bernadette, who's the costume designer, because this episode in particular, the costumes were incredible.
Oh, Jess Bush's wedding dress, that whole
Yes.
the way she was all made up. That was
Yeah.
Costumes
beautiful.
were-
The
it was
hair,
great.
the costumes on
plus.
everyone,
Yeah.
the makeup looked so fun and
Yeah.
cool this episode. Like,
Yeah,
it
like I
was-
said, that the production was just top notch in this episode. It looked beautiful, from the costumes to just the colorful vibe the whole thing had, the setting, the wedding, everything.
So I kind of dug the whole rom-com, right? Like from everything from, and again, I looked at this, I don't say like a bottle episode, but I was in for, Myrriah, to use your words, the campiness, like Spock getting all kind of flustered and trying to figure out what he's going to say and all that. Like it felt like a rom-com. To the
him showing up with his little book gift at the
with his
transporter.
book, and then her showing up with the other dude. Like, come on. Like, my first thought was, seriously? Like, you knew what you were doing, and that's harsh. Like, I understand you wanted him to be there, but it was just harsh. That's like you coming to a cookout at your ex's house and bringing your new man. That's just wrong. Like, it was kind of
No,
harsh.
she didn't expect him to be on the transporter platform waiting for her.
No,
did
but she knew he was gonna be there. Like, she knew she was gonna see him.
What's she gonna do? She's Nurse Chapel. She's got guys following her everywhere.
I'm sure.
She's gonna get a
But-
boyfriend.
But that whole idea and him going through the, like, what do I do, and then choosing to be, a good guy, like all of that was really interesting. I thought it was a little silly, like the bachelor party and stuff like that. I thought that was a little bit silly. But all of it, I was kind of like, yeah, this is fun, and I'm here for it. Right now, did we really get to explore a new alien culture or have some
I mean, we
drama?
got a
There
bunch of
wasn't a
cool alien
courtroom scene.
cameos.
Got a bunch of cool alien episodes, and you guys know I love a good team up, and I love how the team comes together. So we got to see the recruitment of a couple new characters, which was just kind of dope.
Wait,
Yeah,
we
I'm
recruited the
wondering if
bartender and who else?
We got a new nurse,
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
the
the black dude.
yeah. I
He's
liked him.
funny. He's
I
funny.
liked him.
Yes,
Yeah.
he he's funny because he has no idea what's going on, and so he keeps getting in trouble, and that's just fun to watch. It's
Yeah,
almost like if
it's-
you wanted to come in at season 3, he's gonna help you acclimate.
yeah. I think he's a fun character. I'm wondering if I need to look up it's hard because she's in all the prosthetics, but the woman who was the 3-armed bartender, I think it's the same actress who played Saru's sister.
Oh,
I think it's the
like
same
the
actress.
makeup looked a little Kelpian.
It looked a little
Hmm.
Kelpian, yeah, a little Kelpian.
A lot Kelpian-esque.
Yeah. I thought it was a Kelpian until I saw the
Yeah,
third arm.
so is
And I
this
went,
a
no, not a
mutated?
Kelpian.
well,
Yeah.
A
well,
mutated
and that
Kelpian?
reminds me. Have we really seen a bar on Strange New Worlds?
Yeah. They've
Yeah, they
got
go to
the
the bar
bar a
all the
lot.
time. They're always drinking on this show, man.
All right.
They're
They
always-
love
yeah,
the lounge.
yeah.
and I haven't liked the bartender, and so now we have a bartender that I might like.
Yeah.
So
I don't even remember the previous bartender on SNW.
Yeah, it wasn't super memorable. I kind of wish Roger was cuter. Like
Okay.
he grew on
Sorry.
me by the end of the episode. I think mostly due to the Irish accent and being charming.
I was gonna say, like, they were just like banking on that accent, doing all the work, weren't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
And like I looked him up outside of the show, and like his headshots are pretty cute. So I was like, maybe they like I don't know, made him look tired or something in the episode.
Here,
But I think because I'm like, you're competing with Ethan Peck, who's one of the most beautiful specimens of a human being / Vulcan I've ever seen in my life. And then you're going to tell me that Chapel's fallen for this bro. And I was like, okay, the longer he talks and the lines they've given him, he's very charming. But I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
wish he like beamed down, and I'm like, oh damn, good, go for it, Chapel. You know,
The performance and the conception of the character kind of made you like him. Like, oh,
Yeah.
he's a good guy. So I don't know. Maybe they just calculated, we'll make him a really good guy, but we can't make
No.
him supermodel
he
hot.
can't
'cause
be
then-
too hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
can't
but here's the
compete.
problem. This is the most attractive Star Trek franchise ever, and that's saying a lot.
It's
When
a
you-
hot ass show.
Competition.
Like-
He has a lot of competition in
A
this
lot
show.
of competition. So, like,
Rebecca
I mean,
Romaine is on this show, guys. Like,
that's what I'm saying. And like, you got Rebecca Romaine, you've got handsome Mount. Okay.
Mhm.
Like, there are pretty people everywhere you turn, like just pure smoke shows. So, and should it be about the physical? Maybe not, but you're stepping onto like you're
A hot
stepping
set.
onto like a hot set. And so I'm like, and you're right. You've got Ethan Peck, no shirt, like bro, like you got to bring
Christina Chong
your
salsa
triple A
dancing.
game.
Like, yeah.
Oh, man, that oh my goodness. And then like it was a lot. I was just like, hello.
That long ponytail.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the long ponytail kind of got me a little bit.
I did like that in a matter of 3 months, everyone got long hair.
Yeah.
Like in 3 months, everybody's hair makeup was like
Chapel
I was like,
got
okay.
the 2014 indie shag going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
She got a wolf cut.
Yeah. It looks good.
Again, a little love to costumes. The wedding scene, like I had to pause it and just look at all of the costumes, and they were
Yep.
fantastic. Like you couldn't even really see Rebecca Romaine, like Una's costume, but if you paused it, it was amazing. Like I was just looking around, like this is really
Yeah.
well done.
This to me feels like the episode they're going to submit for their like the creative arts Emmys, you know, when there's like, oh, here's
Yeah.
our entry, here's a casual entry for costumes, hair and makeup design. Like,
Right, like the what was it, the the episode that they got a lot of love for. That was like the
Oh,
Alice in
yep.
Wonderland kind
Uh-huh.
of episode. Yep.
The fairy tale
I
one.
think you're right.
I did
The
like
fairy
when
tale one.
Spock referenced it, he was like, there was or no, he was not that one. He was like, we once went to a dimension where we all were singing.
Yes. Yes.
How do
This
we
was a
feel about
fun episode.
Ortega's brother?
I found him
liked him.
cute. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
fun. I really liked the relationship between them. I like that it's kind of this like older sister, straight, badass. It feels very like badass pilot by the book, like did all the right things, and then the like artsy younger brother, which is like a fun dynamic I think that they can play with.
Yeah, and he's got a certain Anthony Ramos kind of vibe going on, so that kind of worked for me. Like
an unproblematic version.
Yeah, an unproblematic version, but I mean, like he's like cool and hip, but not too macho, not too rebel, but like kind of in this spot. Because the reason why I like it is, I think one, Uhura is one of the most beloved characters in all of Trek.
Yeah,
right.
If she likes him, we're gonna like him, right?
Well, maybe not. He has to be likable. It's almost like we have this sense of like, okay, if she catches your eye, you're dating like my sister or my best friend's little sister. So I'm looking at you, and he hasn't done anything to make me go, nah, man, stay away. It was like, okay, cool. Yeah, y'all have a good time. That's what I liked about her brother, and the fact that it's her brother. I was like, yeah, y'all hang out, have a good time, y'all. Like, I'm here for that.
And also, just having him on the show speaks to the fact that we're going to learn more about Ortega's, her family, her history, etc.
Yeah, she has other siblings. Like, what's up?
Yeah, like Paul in his video was a little worried about the trauma storyline we might go down now with Ortega's. I think it's fine. I mean, it's tropey. We've seen it before, but that's not to say that we won't get something new out of it this time, right?
Yeah, because that was really in Discovery. I think it was more about like she was in control of the ship when it crashed, right? And like had a traumatic event around it. Versus, I think Ortega's is going through a much more like concern for her, like how can she rebuild her strength for herself? It feels more of a like, how can I protect myself kind of thing. I think it'll be interesting, and I'm hoping I think it gives a lot of potential for her and Lon to have, I think, more scenes together and kind of like be able to have a shared story in that way about like their trauma with the Gorn and how they process it, and kind of Lon being like, you can get to the other side of this, like this is how this goes. So I think that sets up some nice dynamics for the cast.
I like Lon as therapist now, the way she was with Spock here. Yeah, and she's already a take charge leader, but also finding this more sensitive side to her that can really help other people. I think it's great. And if they exploit that with her and Ortega's going forward with this shared Gorn trauma, that's very fruitful. That sounds really like something I want to see.
Yeah.
And I like what you said, Myrriah, in the fact that I don't find it as tropey, because tropey would be if it's the same trauma over and over again. And I think what we're exploring here is it's a different type of trauma, right? When we looked at Discovery, you're looking at a trauma that was based on your competence, right? It was, man, I screwed up at my job and I thought I was really good, and I'm dealing with that. I'm fearing a failure. This is a different type of fear. This is I was assaulted, right? And I am scared for my safety, right? We saw that in the middle of that, she was still the best pilot you've ever seen, right? So it's not about competence. It's about more her interpersonal battles. And I think that what that opens up to, again, because, Star Trek builds itself a space or exploration, but it always comes down to it's a little bit military, right?
Right.
And what we're talking about is this PTSD shows up in different forms. It's not the same flavor for everyone. And so I like the fact that they're exploring it and giving us, especially those who are purely civilian, this idea of, right? It's not it shouldn't be the same answer for every issue that comes up, and it's not the same thing, right? We say, oh, it's PTSD. Okay, well, PTSD is like Baskin Robbins. There's flavors of it, right? And so I'm actually excited to see what they do, and I'm going to give the writers the benefit of the doubt that they're going to show us something new and fresh, and they're going to take us on this journey that will ultimately make us better people for watching and being and participating in it.
That's a good point. PTSD affects everybody in different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Mike, somebody said they didn't like Reese Darby in this. You weren't a fan?
Who was that? What? I don't know. I felt like he was fun, but probably my least favorite Reese Darby performance. I don't know. It just didn't make me laugh very much, and he always does. So I was just like, what's missing here? I don't know. It just felt, it very much felt like a guest star for the paycheck performance to me. It didn't. It just seemed so frivolous and cotton candy, and
I think that's the point of those characters. That's why
Sure.
I don't know if he is a baby Q or a Trelane, but the Trelanes are very frivolous. Like they're from the original series, and to me, this felt like a very on point homage to that original like character that was portrayed there. And so perhaps it was just like a tonal difference, but I don't know. I really enjoyed him in
all
this
that's
episode,
fair.
and when
Just
he
wasn't for me. Yeah.
yeah, totally. And when when John Delancey showed, like the energy ball that is John Delancey in this episode showed up, and he's like, "But Daddy," I died. I died.
I think for me, so his performance was really, it struck me pretty well because it felt measured to me. I think if you're used to him in like Flight of the Conchords, that feels like way one side. As a dad, I hear his voice all the time when my kids are watching Kif, because he also does a lot of these voice actors, which feels like super kind of silly. This felt in the middle, and I felt like I could connect with him a little bit.
Yeah, it was reminiscent, I think, of his character. It's like a less genuine, like dropped in version of his character on Our Flag Means Death, where it is like someone who's a little bit of like lives in some luxury, has a little bit of a dandy sort of vibe. But you know, it's also hard, I think, to give I thought he did a good job of giving a character a full-ish arc in one episode, right? Like if you're going to drop in for an episode. I felt
it
the
just
levels
wasn't weird enough for me. Maybe it just
I
seemed
also
like,
thought it
I've
was
seen this
interesting.
vibe before. You know,
They didn't like put him because he apparently, you know, he changes. Everyone acknowledges that he looks different,
right?
you know, there because at first Spock's like, I didn't know we had a Vulcan bartender on here, and then he looks in like the mirror and you can see that he looks like an Andorian, I think, to everyone else, but we get to see him as Reese Darby, and I thought that was an interesting choice.
It would have been funny to see him in different alien makeup in
Yeah.
every other scene. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would have been
totally.
something. Yeah.
This also was I will say, beyond costumes and makeup, and I guess it was a cheaper episode because it was all shot on the volume stage for the most part. It's like a lot of costumes, it's sets they already have. So I do wonder if that was maybe a budget constraint, was like how much FX they were already having to do on all of those extras for the aliens at the wedding.
So where do we want to come down? A Trelane or Q? What was it?
I with a John Delancey, to me, it has to be a Q, right? Or
That's where I
the
was. Yeah,
they were signaling to us, right, with all the snaps, and with and with John Delancey, right?
Yeah, to me that was that, but it was like because the outfit was so Trelane and the performance felt like a Trelane. It's I'm like, well, I wonder if they never really establish. I mean, there's a lot of like Q Trelane like overlap potential.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh,
They're
are
probably
you
playing with that too? Yeah.
yeah, like are you a
Well,
Trelane as a baby Q and then you become a Q at a certain point? Like, you know, that's never really been fully established, but they're definitely playing with that gray area we have with these kinds of characters.
I felt like it was Q, but it was done in a way to cause some doubt, not necessarily to us, but to the cast. Because if you want to stay kind of in kind of the context, we don't meet Q until TNG.
Next gen. Yeah.
Yeah. So if
And
that's
he doesn't
the
have a
case,
son till Voyager.
right?
And
So
this
if
is
that's
apparently
the
his son, maybe. Yeah.
maybe, so if that's the case, then they can't kind of announce that it's a Q, right? Like, and so I think there's
Right.
a sense of like, we know what it is, but in order to preserve the timeline, they can't now. It has to be confusing, so that nowhere in the Federation library or the archive is there a mention of a Q.
Mhm.
And that's the way I took it. It's like, we know what it was, but they don't.
Sure.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I could see that.
But also, it did take me out of it for a little bit when John Delancey's voice showed up, and it was clear that it was a father-son situation, because my nerd Star Trek Trekkie brain goes, well, if that's TNGQ, then he does have a son, but that didn't happen till the far future. So this can't be. This is wrong. But then I was like, but wait,
but then
they're
Q's
Q. They
exist
can time
outside of
travel.
time and space. Yeah. Like,
So then I was like, I'm overthinking this. This is fun. It's fine.
yeah. Because the other thing
I
is,
went
like,
there and was like, I'm just gonna go with it, and we'll figure it out later.
yeah, because to me it's like, oh, are they saying that the like light ball energy is a final Q form? It's I don't know. It's like interesting that they were like, oh, we don't want to have to de-age John Delancey, so we're just gonna have you use your voice for this. So, but it was a fun. It was
It made it much cheaper.
so much cheaper, and it was a fun. I enjoyed the cameo. It was like as soon as I heard that voice, I was like, oh
Oh
I know
yeah.
who that is. This is fun.
You've worked with him before.
I have
So,
recorded his
yeah.
voice before.
Mhm.
He's very nice. I just I know we've been talking for a while, but before we wrap up, I just wanted to say I thought Spock's vows were incredibly written. Like whoever wrote that knew from now until the end of time, a bunch of Trekkies are going to use that for their vows.
Oh yeah, you're so
That was
right
good.
about that.
What
You're
wasn't
so right.
a large part of his vows, though, the poem that the other guy said earlier, right?
Yeah.
But it was great.
But still,
Well, it was a
you're right,
a
Myrriah.
poem, and then he added on the stuff that that Roger, towards the end, it's stuff that Roger did. But yeah, the beginning is a poem. But yeah, I just thought it was really beautiful and like well acted, and like watching Chapel and I think Ethan Peck and Jess Bush, their chemistry. Yeah, their chemistry is really palpable, and I think they act off of each other really well, and I could feel that transformative moment for the two of them in that scene, and I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what'll be interesting is kind of watching them go forward. It's fascinating to me because it's like, why are we so invested in something that we know the end of, right? Like at the end of the that's what I'm saying.
They're hot.
But it's I think that's what's interesting, and I'm excited and I'm impressed by the writing, because I think this is really difficult to pull off, right? There is so much future Spock. There is more future Spock than anybody else, including Uhura, right? Like we got Spock all the way, like Leonard Nimoy Spock, all the way into the Kelvinverse. Like there's just so much of it. Like we've seen so much Spock that we know that Chapel is not part of any of that future. Maybe just a little bit. So the idea that we're invested and we're leaned in, watching and almost rooting for them to be together is a credit to the writing of what's going on, because it's almost silly that we're doing this. And yet I'm here for it every week. Like I kind of want them to get together, even though I know it's not going to work. I want them to get together anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also smart for keeping a lot of new Star Trek viewers who maybe aren't as like well versed in the canon. Like a fun will they won't they is a classic. It's a classic in TV. So I think it's a smart move, as you were saying, Clyde.
To that point, where do you guys stand on this show ends and we roll right into a new couple of years down the line TOS show with Paul Wesley and everybody, and it's Kirk and it's the 5-year mission? I'm here for it.
Not my Kirk.
Oh, come on.
I like everyone, I wouldn't mind it because like we
Yeah.
recently rewatched all of the animated series and like we've watched a bunch of the original series, and I think there's some fun things to play with that could be updated for modern pacing and storytelling.
So what you're saying, Myrriah, is because we watched the animated series, we're game to watch anything. Like we've
Yeah.
seen where the bar is set. we can.
We
No,
have seen where the bar is set.
I would say
Seen
this.
the bar lie on the floor.
Mhm.
Here's the thing, Mike. To your point, listen, I'm serious. It's not. He doesn't. Paul Wesley is not struck. He hasn't touched me as like that's not my guy.
Yeah.
That being said, I would think after I don't know how many years we've been podcasting together, Mike, but at this point it's pretty clear that I will watch anything with the name Trek
Yeah.
attached to it. So it doesn't matter what I'm going to say. What's going to happen is I'm going to watch it. And if you ask me to podcast about it, clearly I'm going to do that too.
Good
Yeah.
to know.
I mean,
Good to
the
know.
other thing is like if I'm sitting here as a Paramount executive and I'm like, we need another show, and you're like, this show could be new cast, which means new contracts, which means it's cheaper, and then the sets are already built, like you can just continue to use the same sets. It's like they shoot in
I mean,
Toronto. It's like
well,
check.
And he
I
guest
would-
starred a ton last season.
Mhm.
It looks like he's going to guest star. Like in the
He's-
previews, we've seen shots
Mhm.
of him commanding the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And to me, I think Wesley has the charm, and I think he has the vibe, and he definitely has a young Shatner Kirk look and presence to him, but also something new. He has an energy to him and a commanding presence that I think would really work.
Yeah, the
My-
only majorly bad thing about him is he eats a plain hot dog.
Yeah. And thank you for
What?
bringing up a hot dog. We needed a full food
We
talk.
needed food talk. So Mike, since you've been gone, we have incorporated, somehow we end up talking about food every single episode.
Every single episode.
I
And this
enjoy
was
food.
mostly sparked by the episode where Lon and Kirk are in our time Toronto, and they go
Right.
to a hot dog stand and he eats a plain hot dog.
Just right out
Oh,
of the
that's
water.
right.
Just
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
No toppings.
So I would
Mm.
say my only concern about that, not the hot dog, because that's just dumb. Get you some relish and some ketchup and some mustard, dude.
Something.
Sauerkraut or something, whatever you need. Like there's infinite
Barbecue
choice.
sauce.
If that's what
It's
works
not
for
mayonnaise.
you just not no. That's corn dogs if you have to, but please don't do that either. My issue is I worry that from a writing standpoint, there's like, where do you fit? Like right now, they've been able to fit these shows in pockets on the timeline. The thing about TOS is it largely spanned all the way from its show all the way up through TNG with Generations. So how do you write?
That's the
that
thing,
and
that-
not
that's
bump
kind of-
into everything.
That's kind of what I'm asking though. Like they would have to just blow through that and say, fuck that. We're doing it again. We're doing it different, new. Sorry.
Yeah, or it's
You know,
just the
I'd be
early
okay with it.
years. The early years. I
Maybe.
don't know.
Yeah.
But what you would get is the ability to incorporate some of those already established timelines
Mm-hmm.
and bring in some of those characters. Right?
We've already seen them kind of do a remix of an old TOS episode.
Mhm.
What the first season was it of Strange New Worlds, where they riffed on one of the classic Trek episodes and they did a great job. That was kind of like a test for, hey, maybe we
Yeah.
can continue and do more TOS stuff. I think it'll be fine. I think maybe they could do something interesting like a very limited timeline that is written in a way where an entire season is just like 2 months,
Yeah.
and maybe an entire series is the first 6 months, but a lot happens. Yeah, they could do that so it doesn't
Yeah.
conflict too much.
And
I,
if if Kirk and Christy and Lon, I'll keep it in the same vein. If Kirk and Lon continue this thing that they had, then again, sign me up.
Yes, the
um,
chemistry is strong.
The chemistry is very strong. Yeah, they could do a lot with it. I remember at one point I talked to someone I knew who was working on Lower Decks, and they were talking about if they could do a season that all just took place on one day.
Yeah.
So it was just one day, but it took the whole season to get through the whole day.
24.
Yeah.
It was like the pit before the pit.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
Yes. I like these characters, and I would like these characters to continue. But it's interesting that we know that Kirk's Enterprise, the same ship, only keeps a handful of these characters, right? It's going to keep Uhura, Spock, and Scotty. I don't think there's anybody else. So there's questions about, and I think there are questions about how those other characters leave, when do they leave, what happens. There's a lot of room there for that. Again, I would watch it because I'm a watch Trek.
Yeah. I mean, the other potential is if any of these other side, like if Lon really takes off, it's like she could get her own series. You know what I mean? It might just we'd follow a different ship.
Yeah, if that happens, then I'm watching that, and I'm not watching Paul Wesley's show.
Come on, man.
I'm kidding.
Anything else to say about these first 2 episodes, y'all?
Justice for Paul Wesley. Stefan Salvatore on the Vampire Diaries is cool, and so is his Kirk. I wish he was in one of these episodes. But even though I said this second episode wasn't really for me, I still admired it and appreciated it. It was a really good work of art.
Indeed.
I can't go as far as Paul said this is top 3. I don't know yet. For me, the top 1 is still always going to be Ad Astra. But I'm so I can't tell you how happy I am that Trek is back. I mean, I'll say it. I don't want to say it, but I'll say it. Good Trek is back. I feel like we've been holding on to anything that we could, Myrriah, for the last 2 years, watching whatever we could do. It's a new Trek. It's good Trek. I mean, it's everything I love about Trek, and it's back. I am so excited. I think the only thing that bothers me is, again, and I've said this with other series, you're giving me a handful of episodes. I really wish we were back to 22 to 20 or 26. I would love 26 episodes of this.
How many is it this season?
10, 13, something like that.
Question. They've been 10 previously, 10 or 12.
Yeah, it's probably 10.
It's not enough.
Probably.
It's not enough. It's not enough. I'm already telling you it's not enough. I'm already looking at this and screaming, I don't want it to end.
I agree, because 10 years from now, when I go back and I rewatch, whenever, a couple years from now, and I rewatch the entire series, I'm going to want more episodes for sure.
Yeah. It's 10 episodes this season.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've done rewatches with our Patreon crew on our Slack channel, and we're not sitting up there going, oh man, we got to go through 22 episodes of the Next Generation. Why would they ever? That's not what we're saying, right?
22
episodes. Now we might look over and go, man, that episode was not one of their better episodes, but you know what? We watched it anyway. Okay. Well,
Even just take me back to 13 and 14 episodes for streamers. They used to give us 13 and 14 episodes. Yeah. I know, but it's
I'll compromise. How about 18? Can we compromise at 18? I can do 18.
Yeah. I'll take that deal.
That works.
All right, y'all. Well, Mike, we're so happy to have you back. Thank you for joining us for this season of Strange New Worlds. And folks, you can subscribe, rate, and review. Leave us a review. Let us know which episode you prefer in your review, and we'll read your review here on the podcast. You can check that out at Apple Podcasts. You can visit StarTrekPod.co, where you can find links to share the show with a friend, links to the Patreon, where you can hang out with us in the Slack. Thank you, Karen, for helping run the Blue Sky. We appreciate you so much. Yay. And we will see you all next time. Until then, live long and prosper. Bye-bye.
Matashta.